Folks, as you know, I am a semi-retired Warframe veteran, but if there is one thing that often wakes me up from my slumber, it is of course a brand new bow, and the Daikyu Prime is no different. I have been playing with the Daikyu Prime for the past few days now, and you know what? I think it's actually pretty good. So just so that we remind ourselves what this weapon has, it has a 40% base crit chance and a 2.4% base crit damage. That's actually pretty nice in the grand scheme of things, and then on top of that it has 375 base damage. So for context, my beloved Paris Prime starts off with 360 base damage. I thought it was 200 for a while, but I guess that's somehow changed. And now it also has 520 base damage in Incarnate mode. So the Daikyu Prime is better at a base level, but obviously a little bit worse on an Incarnate level, I guess, because it doesn't have an Incarnate, of course. But either way, though, it also sports 50% status chance at base, so that's actually pretty damn sweet. And so with a weapon like this, it also has a special trait, which does seem to be the case with all the much newer Prime weapons, as opposed to Paris Prime being a relic. But either way, though, the special trait that the Daikyu Prime has is that weak point hits, so headshots and I guess the backpack in Moa or something like that, you get plus 250% crit chance on those weak point hits. This is a similar idea to what primary acuity does, so there we go. Obviously, this does mean that there is an emphasis with this bow on accurate shooting, as opposed to just willy-nilly shooting people's legs, for example. But this also means that with that plus 250% crit chance, because it's plus 250% of 40% base crit chance, you actually go up to 100% crit chance. That means that every weak point hit that you do, guaranteed right from the jump to be a crit of some descriptions. That's of course really, really nice. Now, it does feel pretty good in my hands, at least, thanks of course to my build, of course, but I do really, really like using this bow a lot, actually, because the longbow design, it does look really, really cool, so it does feel like you're using a Japanese longbow, a Yumi, if you will. The sound design is still absolutely fantastic. I think it's more or less the same sound design as the regular Daikyu, so if you're a Daikyu nerd already, then obviously the Daikyu Prime is going to be something for you. I do wonder if the Daikyu would ever get an Incarnate. I mean, it could be interesting, because the Paris Prime Incarnate, in my opinion, is really, really nice, and it's the same Incarnate that exists on the Dread as well. We'll just have to see, but considering that the Daikyu is a much more newer weapon, I think, than the Dread or the Paris for that matter, it probably won't get an Incarnate, but could be nice, I guess. Could be nice. Now, let's have a quick look at the Daikyu build itself that I'm using. It's the one that I've landed on after playing around with it on stream. So I've got 4 Forma on it. 2 Omnis so I can move things around, but the main thing is that it's not too hard to get that 4 Forma on, especially because, well, especially right now anyway, with people actually playing ESO on at least NA servers, yeah, you're able to actually level up this weapon relatively easily. I have decided not to use primary acuity on this weapon though, mainly because, again, because of that special trait where you get plus 250% crit chance on weak point hits being similar enough to primary acuity that I've decided, yeah, we'll be fine. Obviously, if I were to use primary acuity, those weak point hits will do more damage because there is also plus 300% damage on weak point hits, which I don't actually have on the Daikyu Prime as like something similar. But I am using Amalgam Daikyu thingamajig, so I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm also running Worthy Camaraderie on Mag now as a change. It was just something that I'm trying out as opposed to using the aura that gives my dog extra damage. So yeah, I'm basically already there with regards to the crit chance increase at the very least with regards to headshot hits. Now, because I'm not using primary acuity, I feel like I'm not as punished when enemies decide to, I don't know, look away from me, and therefore I can't hit their head because they've got something behind their head. I'm mainly talking about corrupted heavy gunners or heavy gunners in general. And so therefore I can also run some multi-shot on this build. So that, I think, turns out to be pretty damn nice. Now, I do want to also mention that fire rate does seem really, really important on the Daikyu Prime and the Daikyu Regular because it is famously a very slow drawing weapon. You can fire this bow before you fully draw, but as you might expect, your DPS seems to go down by about 50%, or at the very least, your damage per arrow goes down by 50%. I don't know if that's necessarily a 50% loss though in your DPS, because you could potentially be firing a bit faster if you just don't fire the whole way, I guess. I have gone for cold damage on this bow with Shivering Contagion in there as well, because cold procs are actually really, really nice because it's extra crit damage as well, not just for me and the bow, but also for my dog, so that my dog can do even more damage when it crits. And yeah, when she crits and does a lot of damage, because obviously, like I've talked about before, for some reason Kubros seem to be doing a lot of damage these days. Now, to keep in mind, this is a 1.5 times multiplier on Sentients, the cold damage at the very least, but it's a 0.5 multiplier on Tech Rot. So I guess my bow doesn't do as well against Tech Rot Infested, but I'm hoping the extra crit damage will make up for it in the grand scheme of things. But I do have a couple of other weapons on my build as well, or rather on my loadout, so that should be a-okay. And Shivering Contagion, even though I am using it because it's really, really nice and it does spread the cold procs out, it is a bit of a flex slot, so obviously if I were to use something else like Hammer Shot for, I guess, more damage and potentially more status procs, then that's probably what I would be replacing, and that's why I do have an Omniformer at least on that slot, so I can play around with a variety of other things. Omniformer is just so nice. And I'm right now not using a Riven because, as you would imagine, when a new weapon comes out, especially a new Prime comes out, the disposition is set at 1 dot by default, and then we'll just see when or if the disposition gets updated. Apparently this might take a couple of years, we'll just have to see. But yeah, until the disposition gets upgraded to something similar to the regular Daikyu disposition of 4 dot, let's say, yeah, I don't see a reason to use a Riven on the Daikyu at the present moment. Now, of course, like I mentioned, I am using Amalgam Target acquired on the Daikyu, which actually does include a rather major boost in damage on weak points. It is only plus 75 as opposed to the previously mentioned primary equity of plus 300, so obviously it's not I haven't like completely replaced primary acuity on this bow, but it's close enough. And then on top of that, I get to actually have some additional bonuses on the Nikana Prime. So let's quickly talk about the Nikana Prime that I'm now using as a direct result of using Amalgam Daikyu Target Acquired, because on the Nikana build, I am no longer using Healing Return, which is what I had before, because for some reason this sword comes with a D polarity. I don't know why. So instead of using that, I am now using a spring-loaded blade instead, because that is also a D polarity mod, but it also gives range, which is pretty nice. So there we go. This is a build with 1 Omniformer and 1 regular Forma, so just keep in mind it's actually a relatively easy build to maintain. You don't need the Omniformer, of course, if you already know what polarity you're going to be sticking with, so just keep that in mind. Now, Galv Steel does give me an additional 120% crit damage if I manage to get 4 kills with it, which is relatively easy. So with all of the crit chance that I've got on this build with Galv Steel and of course Blood Rush, yeah, this does seem to be really, really good. And so overall, with this kind of loadout sort of coming in together, I think I will probably be playing with this for a while, but I probably will inevitably go back to my beloved Paris Prime. That's just me. Of course, if you're a Daikyu fan, then I guess this weapon will be sticking with you for a very, very, very long time. So that's really, really good. Obviously, if and when the disposition of this bow goes up, then I will probably consider re-rolling my currently available Daikyu Riven, because it's just fire rate, status chance, multi-shot, and then negative reload speed right now, so that's... I mean, it's good. It's not amazing, but it's good, so, you know, something I might consider maybe a few years in the future. We'll just have to see. But yes, I do recommend this bow to everyone, mainly because, of course, I'm an archery fan. If you don't like archery, then you probably won't like this bow, because it is a slower bow than the other ones, but I definitely would give it a shot if you're interested, and hell, if you've farmed it, then you might as well build it, because at the very least there's always MR fodder as a reason to just build the damn thing anyway, and then level it up and see how you go with that. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. How do you feel about the Daikyu Prime? Is it potentially your new favorite bow? Maybe. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe content, maybe, sporadically, I guess. Once in a blue moon. Feel free to subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon if you want to be notified of the latest videos and live streams on the channel. And otherwise, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!